You never really come back from war. Your boots hit American soil, sure. Your hands touch your front door. Your kids wrap their arms around your waist, and your wife kisses you like she means it. But the man inside? He's still out there somewhere. In the dirt. In the noise. In the blood. My name's Jason Reed. I'm 42. Retired Army Sergeant, 101st Airborne. Did 4 tours over 12 years. Married for 15. Or at least I thought I was. Emily and I met in 2007. I was stationed in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. She worked at a hospital nearby as a nurse in the ER. Fast-paced, high stress, and somehow she always looked calm in the storm. We met during one of those dumb off-base bar nights, when soldiers drink like they're invincible and nurses drink like they've seen too much. She had freckles, smart eyes, and a mouth that didn't tolerate bullshit. I liked her instantly. We got married a year later, had our daughter Mia 2 years in. Life was simple, but strong. Deployments came and went, and she always held the house down while I was gone. Bills were paid, photos were mailed. I carried her letters in my rucksack like armor. I loved her. Still do in a way. But something happened after my last tour. Something between us shifted. It was subtle at first. A delay in her voice when she said, "I love you" on FaceTime. A stiffness in her hugs when I came home. She smiled, sure, always polite, always okay, but I started feeling like I was talking to someone who had already left the room. I blamed myself. I had nightmares, trouble sleeping. I'd sit in the driveway for 30 minutes after work just to avoid walking inside. The Army trained me to survive hell, but it never trained me to come home. Still, I believed we were solid. I believed she understood me. What I didn't know was that while I was fighting demons overseas, she had started inviting one into our home. And by the time I found out who he was and where it all started, it was already too late to fix a damn thing.
When you're away for long enough, you start missing the little changes. The way someone starts using different words, a new perfume, new routines, slight shifts in timing, when they leave for work, when they come home. It's subtle. Innocent enough on the surface. But after I retired in late 2022, I had time to notice. Too much time, maybe. Emily had always worked long shifts, 12 hours at a time, often on nights or weekends. Nurses don't live on normal schedules, so I didn't question it for years. But after I got back, I started seeing the gaps. There were days she said she was on call, but no one from the hospital ever called. Nights she came home hours after her shift supposedly ended, claiming traffic or an emergency admit. And she never wanted to talk about work anymore, even though before she couldn't stop. She used to tell me everything, difficult patients, fights with doctors, funny coworkers. Now, silence. She was always tired. Too tired to talk, too tired for date nights, too tired to have sex. At first, I chalked it up to stress, burnout, life. Hell, maybe it was me. I had changed too. I wasn't the same man she married. I knew that. But something inside me, that old combat instinct, told me it wasn't just emotional distance. It felt intentional, calculated, like she was hiding behind the blur of exhaustion and pretending she didn't notice me watching her slip away. Then came the locked phone. Emily used to be careless with it. She'd leave it on the counter, unlocked, screen lighting up with random texts from work or her mom. But one day, about 3 months after I got home, I picked up her phone to check the time, and it required a passcode. When I asked her about it, she didn't miss a beat. "Oh, hospital policy. We're required to lock our phones now because of HIPAA stuff." Reasonable, logical, professional. But still, it didn't feel true. Then came the gym clothes. Emily was never into working out. She'd jog with our daughter once in a while, maybe do some YouTube yoga at home. But now, suddenly, she had a new gym membership, a new sports bra, matching leggings, a trainer she sometimes met with. She started going every Tuesday and Thursday night, the same 2 nights every week. I offered to go with her. She laughed, said, It's just my thing, babe. My stress outlet. Okay, sure. Maybe it was. Maybe she needed space. I tried to be supportive. I didn't want to be that husband, the insecure, paranoid, controlling type. I wanted to believe she was just coping. But something kept nagging at me. So one night, I followed her. I waited until she left for the gym, then I grabbed my keys and drove a few minutes behind her, stayed 2 cars back, no lights. She didn't go to the gym. She went to a neighborhood across town, a development of high-end condos near the university. I parked at a gas station on the corner and watched from the lot. She pulled into a visitor spot, got out, walked up to a door, knocked, waited. And then he opened the door. I couldn't see his face at first, just the silhouette of a man. Young, fit, wearing gray sweats and no shirt. She stepped inside. He closed the door behind her. I sat there for a long time. I don't remember how long. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. My breath felt thick in my chest. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I just sat there and let the cold reality wash over me. My wife was sleeping with someone else while I was home, while my daughter was in the other room, while I was trying to relearn how to live again. That night, she came home just after 10 p.m., smelled like soap, said she showered at the gym, kissed me on the cheek, climbed into bed, turned her back to me like it was any other day. And I laid there, staring at the ceiling, wide awake, knowing the woman beside me had already left. The next morning, I watched her pour coffee like nothing had happened. She asked if I could pick Mia up from dance practice after school, said she had a long day ahead. I nodded. My mouth said sure, but inside, something was tearing loose. I was sitting across from a stranger wearing my wife's skin. But I wasn't going to confront her, not yet. That was the soldier in me. You don't strike before you've mapped the terrain. You wait. You gather intel. You prepare for the breach. So I went back to the condo that Thursday night, parked in the same lot, waited again. And this time I got a better look. The man who opened the door wasn't just young, he was familiar. Something about the posture, the haircut, the grin. At first I couldn't place him. Then I remembered. He used to work at the hospital. Same ER as Emily, EMT. His name was Trevor, or Travis, something with a T. He was always polite when I saw him. Too polite. The kind of guy who holds eye contact with your wife too long while shaking your hand. Always grinning. Always just a friend. She mentioned him a couple of times over the years. Oh, Trevor helped me with that crash victim. Or Travis brought donuts in again. Back then, I didn't think twice. Now, I couldn't think about anything else. I started digging. I checked her social media. Nothing suspicious. She was too smart for that. I checked the gym's location history on her phone when she wasn't looking, and sure enough, she hadn't been there in weeks. Then I did something I didn't want to do, but had to. I reached out to a friend of mine, Paul, who still had buddies working security at the hospital, former MPs. They owed me favors. I asked if they could tell me whether Emily and Trevor still worked together. They did, but not on the same shift. She had asked to switch off his schedule nearly 9 months earlier. Why would someone avoid working with a person, but visit him regularly on her own time? I had a theory, and it made my skin crawl. I decided to check one more thing. Our daughter's tablet. She used it for games, Netflix, school apps, but it was still synced to Emily's iCloud. Messages, calendar events, some locations, all flowing into that innocent little screen. And there it was. An event on a Sunday 3 months ago. Title, T, overnight. Heart. Location, hidden. Time, 7 p.m. to 9 a.m. That was the night she said she was attending a nurse's retreat. Said she needed time to decompress, to be a better mom and wife. I remember even encouraging her. Drove her to the hotel myself. She wasn't at a hotel. She was in his bed. And she left that calendar event on her iCloud, like a trophy. I stared at the screen, cold and empty. I couldn't decide what hurt more, the sex, the lies, or the fact that she didn't even care enough to cover her tracks anymore. This wasn't some one-night mistake. This was routine, patterned, choreographed. It wasn't even about the physical act anymore. It was emotional, private, secret. They had something. They had time. Time I never had. Time I gave up so I could serve this country and put food on our table. And she gave that time, that intimacy, to him. But that wasn't the worst part. Not even close. A week later, I was at the store grabbing paper towels when I ran into a woman I barely knew, Shannon. She used to be a charge nurse at the same ER. Kind, older, always smiled at my daughter when we came by. She asked how I was doing post-retirement. I gave her the usual, hanging in there. Then she said something I'll never forget. She said, I always thought it was sweet how close Emily and Trevor were. Y'all are better than me. I'd be way too jealous if my husband had a work wife like that. I froze. What do you mean? She tilted her head, laughing a little. Oh, you know, the way they always used to disappear during breaks, drive to Lugge together, walk out late at night. Everyone kind of knew, but I figured you were open or something. Open. She thought we had an open marriage. That's how casual it looked to the people around her. That's how normalized it had become. I nodded politely and walked away before I said something I'd regret. I went home, opened my laptop, and started compiling everything. Texts, events, maps, screen recordings. A digital dossier of betrayal. Because it was time. Time to confront her. Time to take back what little power I had left. And this time, there would be no hiding. I didn't sleep the night before I confronted her. I lay in bed next to her, eyes wide open, the glow from her screen lighting up the ceiling every few minutes. She thought I was asleep. I listened to her fingers tapping, maybe texting him. Maybe sending pictures, maybe planning their next meetup while I was right there, inches away. I looked at her profile in the dark. This woman I'd once trusted with my life, with my child, with my soul. She looked peaceful, and that broke me more than anything else. I picked a Tuesday. Our daughter had a sleepover at her friend's house. I needed it to be just us. No excuses, no distractions. She came home from her gym session, hair damp, a to-go smoothie in hand. She smiled at me, kissed my cheek, same as always. I told her we needed to talk. She paused, her smile faltering just a bit. Okay, about what? I didn't answer, just walked over to the dining table and opened my laptop. The screen lit up with the folder I labeled, You Lied. I clicked the first video, a screen recording of her iCloud calendar, the T, overnight, heart event. She blinked, took a step back. What is this? Then I opened the screenshots, dozens of them. Messages, locations, timestamps, her own words, photos she sent him, a screen recording of her phone's activity log captured through the synced iPad. Everything. She stared at it, silent. Then whispered, You went through my stuff? I looked up slowly. "No," I said. "You left it all connected to Mia's iPad. That's how little you thought of hiding it." Her mouth opened slightly, then closed. I kept going. The messages from the day she said she was working overnight. The ones she sent while I was picking up our daughter from school. Flirty pictures, voice notes calling him babe. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't crying. I was presenting evidence like a prosecutor with a guilty defendant. Then I closed the laptop. She was still standing. Barely. "I know about Trevor," I said. Her breath hitched. "Jason, please." "Don't. Just don't." She reached out. I backed away. "How long?" I asked. She didn't answer. "How long?" She sat down at the table like her legs gave out. Her hands were shaking. "I don't know exactly. It started slow. It wasn't supposed to." I slammed my hand on the table. Just once. "How long?" She finally looked up. 3 years. 3 goddamn years. I felt like I'd been shot in the chest. That covered the tail end of my last deployment. That meant she'd been sleeping with him while sending me photos of our daughter's first recital, while video calling me in uniform, while telling me she missed me, loved me, needed me. It wasn't a fling. It was a second life. I stood in silence, feeling the blood pulse in my ears like gunfire. She was crying now. Ugly, broken sobs, repeating "I'm sorry" over and over like a scratched record. But I wasn't there to forgive her. I was there to end it. "I want you out," I said. She shook her head. "Please, Jason, don't do this. We have Mia. No. You did this. I was out there risking my life for this family, and you were here playing house with him. I didn't mean to fall for him. I was lonely. You were gone so much. I didn't know who you were anymore. That's the difference between us. I was gone, but I never stopped being your husband. You were here, and you stopped being my wife a long time ago." She begged. For time, for understanding, for therapy, for another chance. I didn't budge. I told her I had already spoken to a lawyer, that everything was documented, that the house would be in my name, that Mia would stay with me, and she could work out visitation once the paperwork went through. She cried harder when I said that, as if the consequences were only just becoming real. I walked out of the room and closed the door behind me. I didn't look back. That night she slept on the couch, alone. I locked my bedroom door not because I was afraid, but because I didn't want to hear her crying anymore. I had already heard enough lies. By the weekend she was gone. Packed a suitcase, stayed at a friend's place. Later I found out the friend was him. Of course it was. I didn't stop her. I let her go. She had already left, a long time ago. Now it was just official. The day after she left, the house was quiet in a way I hadn't heard in years. Not peaceful quiet, hollow quiet. The kind that echoes around door frames and creeps into your coffee mug while you're standing in the kitchen, unsure of what to do next. Mia came home that afternoon. She was smiling when she walked through the door, excited to show me a drawing she'd made at school, a family portrait, with all three of us holding hands. My chest clenched when I saw it. I knelt down, hugged her and kissed her forehead. "Mom's staying at a friend's for a while," I told her. She looked up at me. Because you're mad at her? Kids see more than we give them credit for. No, sweetheart, because some things just aren't right anymore. She didn't say anything, just nodded slowly and went to her room. The weeks that followed were a blur. Emily called, texted, asked to see Mia, asked to talk, asked if there was any chance. I kept everything short and legal. No emotion, no fights, no name-calling. I was done bleeding. I got full temporary custody. She got weekends, supervised at first. My lawyer said I was lucky the evidence was so clean, especially the synced iCloud and calendar entries. He said, judges don't usually care about cheating, but this shows recklessness, patterned deception, endangerment. I didn't care about the legal wins. I just wanted my daughter to grow up knowing what truth felt like. Emily tried to manipulate Mia. Subtle things at first. Like, Daddy doesn't want us to be a family anymore. Or, Mommy didn't mean to hurt anyone. I didn't respond. Instead, I started giving Mia something Emily never did. Time. Real time. Present time. No phone in my hand, no fake smiles. I learned how to braid her hair. I took her to the park every Sunday. I started cooking dinner, badly at first, and she became my taste tester. We healed together, without even talking about it. As for me, I kept going to therapy. I stopped drinking alone. I joined a gym, not for revenge, but to feel like I owned my body again. I started sleeping better, little by little. The nightmares I used to have from deployment were replaced by something quieter. Not peace, but distance. Distance from her, from who I used to be when I loved her. I even started writing, journaling, just for myself. One night, I wrote a sentence that stuck with me. Sometimes war isn't what breaks you. It's what you come home to. A year passed. The divorce was finalized. I got the house, split custody 70-30. Mia adjusted better than I expected. Kids are like that. They bend, not break. Emily still sees Trevor. They moved in together. Last I heard, he lost his EMT license after showing up to a call drunk. Poetic, really. I didn't gloat. I didn't message her. I just took a walk that night and breathed a little easier. People ask me if I still love her. The truth is, I don't know. I think I loved the idea of her, the woman I thought she was, the woman who held my hand during deployments. That woman doesn't exist anymore. Maybe she never did. What I do know is that I've come back to myself, and for the first time in a long time, I'm not serving anyone else's lie. Epilogue. One night, Mia asked me something while we were brushing her teeth. Daddy, are you happy? I paused, then smiled. I said, yeah, I think I'm finally getting there. She nodded, like it made perfect sense. And in that quiet, ordinary moment, just me and my daughter, standing in the bathroom, I realized something. I didn't lose everything. I still had her. I still had me. And that was enough.